Hello everybody and welcome back to the Modern Green Bay and Western. My name is Gabe, owner of the layout, and we're back here over in New London by the Highway 45 overpass. However, today's video is not a hopefully final installment of the overpass project. We're gonna get the layout prepped for installing that bridge, and we're going to get the layout prepped for some other projects that we're going to be working on. So let me show you what I mean by that. So I mentioned in my last layout update that I wanted to start here in New London and work my way down that direction with scenery and buildings and whatnot. So part of that involves me putting a backdrop here behind Granite Valley Forest products so that the Fox Valley and Lake Superior can sneak off. The other project that I've been working on and documenting is this Highway 45 overpass project. Two things about both of those projects though is that if I install the backdrop here or install the bridge here, it greatly limits my access to the track. And as you can tell, the track still needs to get painted so it looks more realistic. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be working on painting track probably for most of the New London area. That way at least this is done. I'm going to use a technique I've never used before. We're going to try using spray paint to do it. And hopefully it goes well. We're going to do a quick test run. That's what I got this piece of track here for. We're going to go out in the garage, test run, see how it works. And then we'll get to masking and taping and covering this beautiful blue backdrop I got going. So that way we don't ruin it at all. But yeah, so most of it I'm hoping to do by spray paint, and then I hope to do a little detail and weathering with brushes. So let's go out to the garage and test this out. So we're out here in the garage. I got the track laid down on my tarp for painting. We're going to be using this Rust-Oleum camouflage. It's supposed to be a flat color, which is why I picked it out, and it's just brown, which I think is a good color for the vast majority of the tracks. I have two concerns about this project and the way I'm going about it. One being that the spray paint won't come out thin enough and it will ruin the track by being too thick and cover the details. The other one is limiting overspray. So we're going to try to do our best to limit both of those things during this test and see how it turns out. The paint has mostly dried and we're over here on the workbench. Not completely dried, I'd say. I'm going to see if I can just wipe this off with a paper towel to try to get the vast majority of the tops of the rails clean without making the sides super clean. We want it to be just like real life, where tops of the rails are nice and shiny, partially because that's how real track looks. The second reason being we need electrical conductivity, so I'm hoping that this will clean it off, and then we'll just use a track eraser to ensure that is once everything's super dry and we've gotten the majority of it off. But it looks like it's coming off pretty well. There we go. I don't see any damage to the details, so I think this will be a great way to do the base for the weathering on this project. Hi. Now on to a little more prep work on the layouts. When using flex track, you always end up having to cut off a few ties at every place where the track meets. Because of that, you get these gaps that, though are irregular, they are regular enough that you notice every time, oh, the track meets, you're missing some ties. And because the Green Bay and Western is meant to be a fairly well-maintained railroad, those really don't make a lot of sense. So because of that, we're going to have to take all these ties that I have in this little guy that are left over, trim off the tabs, and insert them under here so that it looks more realistic and more continuous and better and more well-maintained. I've gotten the extra ties laid in all the way from essentially the staging yard into New London, through the Foxy interchange yard, and all the way to where it dives into the backdrop. So that's the first bit of prep that we had to do to the track to get it ready. The next bit of prep we're going to have to do before we start painting is to put masking tape over all the switch points, so that way they still conduct electricity after we paint all the tracks. Yeah, we're here at New London East, CP New London East, and we got to make sure we cover these points so that they still work after we paint. This is going to be kind of hard in N scale because of how small the track is. Okay, I gotta trim that. And that should help maintain the electrical connectivity between the points as I switch the tracks and allow the trains to run smoothly. So I have my switch points covered, not just here, but actually all of them that in the areas I plan on painting. As you can see, I also put up my drop cloths. I'm using these that I got from Home Depot. They're nothing crazy. They're just cheap, and I got 3 of them in a pack. I want to say it was around 10 bucks for all these. And I have both pinned and taped them to try and avoid having the overspray go on my backdrop or my bridge. I have it taped and pinned down here pretty close to the bridge, so that way I don't get any overspray on my bridge. And then I will just have to do it in chunks, and I can just move along and paint as I get to that section, and then mask and try to cover the sections that are already painted or the backdrop that I don't want painted. So on to painting, I guess. So now is the moment of truth. I don't have a fan running at this moment because I'm talking to you, but I got a fan running to blow all the fumes outside. And let's get to spraying and hope we don't ruin everything we worked so hard for so far. So we ran into an unexpected, and maybe I should have expected an issue. If you look in here, it's kind of hard to tell in here, but it appears there's a reaction between the Rust-Oleum paint and the foam, and it's kind of starting to eat away at it. It doesn't look to be structurally an issue, but there's now ditches next to all the tracks, and a little too close when I need to. And not everywhere. Some places it looks fine, as you can see there, but you can definitely tell over here where I kind of gave it a few more extra spurts. So I think we might have to use a different kind of paint, or I'm going to have to tape a lot more than I anticipated. Anyways, we'll still continue on with the project here. Next step, like I said over at the workbench, is to clean off the top of the rails. Start with a paper towel. Pick up this mask. Hopefully everything underneath is nice and bright and shiny. Oh yeah. Well, I think that worked for the most part. Yep, I thought there maybe was a little bit of overspray there, but nope, doesn't look like any overspray there. It's perfect. It's been a few days, and I've been doing a little bit of post-mortem, a little bit of research, a little bit of just trying to figure out what exactly went wrong here with the foam being eaten away, and how best to go about trying to fix that problem. So, in most areas, it actually did pretty well. Even here, you can tell on the camera a bit that there's little dots here, but it's nothing major. It tended to be right here where it ate out, and right here. In doing some research, I found that this is actually the recommended paint to do kind of the base coat for track. One thing that I didn't know is that most spray paints have acetone in it, and acetone is what was eating away at the foam here. One thing I did notice is that the acetone did not eat away here where I had already painted the foam. So that kind of gave me an idea that maybe I would be able to paint the foam and it would be protected. And you can kind of see the experimentation that I did over here in a corner of the layout where I really haven't finished up scenery being laid or anything, and the holes here don't really matter. But this I had done with just a layer of paint. This was done with 2 layers of paint, which you can tell there's a lot less damage here. Then I used some tape and spray painted it directly on the tape, because I'm not spray painting the foam directly, I'm painting the track. And that actually worked out pretty well. I mean, it ate away a little bit over there, but that's because I sprayed in the spot that I didn't mean to. So in that vein, what I decided to do for the rest of this area was, again, I put up the drop cloth, and then I taped around the track to make it nice and sealed. And I also painted all the foam around the track to help give it the best chance of working here. I could go out and probably find a water-based paint. But what I really like is the color that I got from Rust-Oleum Camouflage Brown. So, do I recommend doing what I'm doing? I don't know. I'm not sure I really do. But it is kind of the solution to my problem for the moment, and that's how I'm going to go with it. If you don't have foam, none of this really matters. I mean, you still want to protect your backdrop, but if your track is laid directly on plywood, or if you paint your track before you put it out onto your layout and lay it, go ahead, go nuts. You don't have to worry about it. It's just the foam and the acetone. So if you find an acetone-free spray paint, that would also work great. Well, overall, I believe my plan worked. The track is all painted. It's working well. I had to do a lot more taping than I wanted to do, but I still think this was easier than hand painting the track. Now comes into the detailing and weathering section. Not all ties are exactly the same color, and I want my siding to be a little darker than my main line and the new trackage over in the yard. So we're gonna start doing some weathering of the track. Weathering is a pretty simple task when it comes to track. It's going to add a little more depth, bring out the details, and make the track look a little more varied than just this one monotone brown color. Though it is a good base color, we can make it look a little better, make some of the track look newer, like the main line here, and then make the spur and the Foxy Sneak Off, make those look older. When we get to the yard, we can make that look different than their main line and the siding and whatnot. Yeah, it brings variation just like in the real world. And here I got 3 colors of paint. They're all just acrylic paints. Gray, I had to mix up myself because apparently I'm out of gray. Brown and black. Okay, we're going to start here with the main line. And I'm going to start with dry brushing brown to kind of lighten up the trackage. So, get a lot of the paint off. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And there we go. So this is supposed to be newer, better, well-maintained track. The brown will help it. appear that way, look a little more better at repair and whatnot. Don't forget about the outside of the track. Don't just do the middle ties unless you're doing something like maybe a dark streak down the middle to kind of resemble oil and stuff coming down from freight cars and locomotives and whatnot. And then just like when you painted the entire thing with spray paint, it's a good idea to go over the track and clean it to make sure you again have the good electrical connectivity. Now I'm going to take my black paint and just paint a few ties black to give it a little variation. Since it's the main line, I don't want it to be too much of a variation, but enough to give a little bit of interest and difference in the track. We'll say this tie here will make kind of a gray color. Okay, this is just to kind of show you the difference with just a little bit of dry brushing and weathering. This has taken me a matter of like 5 minutes. Make it look a little more varied, a little more realistic, a little more worn than what this looks like. This spur is going to get a lot more attention and is going to end up looking a lot more grimy than the main line, and I'm kind of excited to go a little nuts on it. And here's how the finished result looks with locomotives and freight cars on the layout. I think you can see the variation between the main line and the spurs and the Foxy interchange yard. And I think the weathering has really brought out the detail in the track and it's given us some color, along with the brown that we painted to help protect the foam. It's really given some color to the layout that it's been missing. We ran into some problems, but I think we managed to get around them and fix them. A lot of model railroading is learning and learning new techniques. So that's just part of doing this. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and hope to see you in the next video. Have a great rest of your week.